The latest shocking development on The Bold and the Beautiful has taken the audience by storm, sending shockwaves through the lives of everyone connected to Ridge Forrester. In what seemed like a moment of promise and hope, Ridge, filled with excitement, set out to find Brooke, the love of his life, with the intention of proposing to her. However, his journey to reclaim his love would end tragically, not in the arms of Brooke, but at the bottom of a ravine, lifeless and cold, leaving everyone questioning how such a joyous occasion turned into a heartbreaking disaster. The story of Ridge's death would quickly spiral into a tangled web of secrets, lies, and conspiracies that no one could have anticipated. Ridge had been eager to return to Brooke after months of being apart. He had recently ended his relationship with Taylor, determined that his future lay with Brooke, the woman he had always loved. As he drove to meet her, his heart was full of anticipation and hope for what lay ahead. With a proposal ring in hand, Ridge believed that everything was falling into place. But fate had a different plan in store. The moment Ridge's car veered off the road and crashed into a rock face, everything changed. The police arrived at the scene, and initially, the investigation pointed to a tragic accident. The police quickly concluded that Ridge had lost control of his car, crashing into the rocky terrain below. It was a common and unfortunate accident, they said. But as they left the scene, something seemed off. Something that didn't sit right with the ones who loved Ridge. As the authorities walked away from the crash site, one small detail caught the attention of a few key individuals. The presence of a mysterious figure standing in the distance, watching the accident unfold from afar. This person, who remained concealed in the shadows, held something in their hand, a powerful flashlight. This oddity left a question lingering in the air. Was Ridge's death truly a tragic accident, or was it something more sinister? The unanswered questions would soon stir up a storm of speculation and suspicion among Ridge's family, friends, and loved ones, who were determined to uncover the truth. The tragedy was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. The Forrester family, particularly those closest to Ridge, were left devastated by his sudden death. Brooke, who had been waiting for Ridge to arrive so that he could finally fulfill his promise of a new beginning, was crushed by the news. Her world, once filled with hope and love, was now shrouded in grief and confusion. Taylor, who had just ended her relationship with Ridge, was also deeply affected by the tragedy. But in the midst of the mourning, questions began to surface that no one could ignore. The police report seemed too quick, too clean. Ridge's death was declared an accident, but the unexplained figure with the flashlight haunted them all. Someone had been there, watching, waiting, and it raised the chilling possibility that Ridge's death might not have been an accident at all. As days passed and the shock of Ridge's death began to sink in, a sense of urgency gripped those who were closest to him. His family, driven by a desire for answers, began their own investigation into the circumstances surrounding the accident. The idea that Ridge had simply lost control of his car seemed too simple, too convenient. His family started to dig deeper, looking into Ridge's last moments. The more they uncovered, the more unsettling the story became. They discovered that Ridge's car had been sabotaged, that someone might have interfered with the vehicle's operation, causing him to lose control and crash. The question on everyone's mind became, who could have wanted Ridge dead? And why? The list of potential suspects was long, but one person stood out above all others, Taylor Hayes. The possibility that Ridge's ex-wife had something to do with his tragic death left everyone in shock. Taylor had already been through so much, a broken marriage, the love of her life now torn away from her, and the pain of seeing Ridge choose Brooke over her. Could the heartbreak and jealousy have driven Taylor to take such a drastic and deadly step? The theory was unsettling, yet some of the clues pointed in her direction. After all, she had been in the area around the time of the crash. Some witnesses claimed they saw a figure, possibly Taylor, leaving the scene shortly before the police arrived. And then there was the matter of the mysterious flashlight. Was it possible that Taylor, in a fit of rage and despair, had manipulated the situation to cause Ridge's death? However, the suspicion around Taylor remained just that, suspicion. There was no concrete evidence that she had anything to do with the crash. The flashlight, while suspicious, didn't directly implicate her. In fact, the police had no way of proving that the light had caused Ridge to lose control of his vehicle. It could have simply been a coincidence. But even as the investigation unfolded, more and more strange details began to emerge. Some people close to Ridge began to wonder if the mysterious figure with the flashlight was someone entirely different, someone who had a personal vendetta against Ridge. Could this be part of a larger conspiracy, one that no one had expected? As the Forrester family continued to search for answers, the tension began to mount. Brooke, still devastated by the loss of Ridge, was torn between mourning her lost love and trying to uncover the truth. Taylor, on the other hand, found herself under intense scrutiny, with everyone questioning her every move. Despite the accusations, she maintained her innocence, claiming that she had nothing to do with Ridge's death. But the more the family dug, the more they realized that nothing about this situation made sense. If Taylor wasn't involved, then who was? Who could have orchestrated this terrible accident? And what was the true motive behind Ridge's death? Meanwhile, the police remained focused on their original theory that Ridge's death had been an unfortunate accident. They had no solid evidence to suggest foul play. But the Forrester family refused to let go of their suspicions. They turned to their own sources, investigating any potential enemies Ridge may have had. Was there someone from his past who held a grudge against him? Someone who could have been motivated to kill him? As the investigation progressed, more and more theories emerged, each one more shocking than the last. Some speculated that the culprit might have been a business rival, while others wondered if there was someone in Ridge's personal life who felt betrayed and angry enough to harm him. The drama continued to escalate, with each new revelation bringing the Forrester family closer to the truth. The mystery of Ridge's death became a central focus for everyone in his life, and no one was left unaffected by the investigation. Brooke found herself caught in the middle of a web of deceit and betrayal, unable to trust those around her as the walls closed in. Taylor, who had once been Ridge's confidant and partner, struggled to clear her name while dealing with her own grief. And all the while, the mysterious figure with the flashlight remained a haunting presence in the back of their minds. Was Ridge's death truly a tragic accident, or was there something far more sinister at play? As the investigation into his death deepens, everyone involved is forced to confront secrets and lies they never imagined. In the world of the bold and the beautiful, where love, betrayal, and deception are always lurking around the corner, the truth about Ridge's untimely demise will change everything, and no one will come out unscathed. The story of Ridge Forrester's death is far from over, and the answers may be darker than anyone could have ever predicted. The shockwaves of Ridge Forrester's death continue to spread throughout the Forrester family, and as the investigation deepens, new revelations stir up even more turmoil. The latest twist comes with the return of Thomas Forrester, who, upon hearing the tragic news of his father's death, rushes to the coroner's office to see for himself. His heart races as he enters the cold, sterile room, his eyes immediately locking on the lifeless body of Ridge. The sight is haunting. Ridge's eyes are closed, his face battered with bruises and cuts, the visible signs of a violent crash. It's not just the loss that overwhelms Thomas, but the sight of his father's body that sends him into an uncontrollable spiral of grief. He collapses beside the body, unable to hold back his tears. The years of love, admiration, and unresolved conflict with Ridge crash over him, and he is momentarily consumed by the sorrow of it all. But amidst the sorrow, Thomas's sharp mind begins to race. As much as his heart is heavy, something in the back of his mind nags at him. Ridge was always careful, meticulous even behind the wheel. Thomas knows his father better than anyone, and this just doesn't add up. The accident scene, the police reports, the initial conclusions, they all seem too convenient, too simple. Ridge had always prided himself on being a skilled driver. So, why would he suddenly lose control of his car and crash into a rock face? Something feels wrong, and Thomas cannot shake the feeling that his father's death wasn't as accidental as everyone is led to believe. As Thomas grapples with his grief, he becomes more determined to uncover the truth about Ridge's death. With each passing day, he pores over every detail, from the crash site to the reports, the car's condition, and even the mysterious figure with the flashlight. He interviews witnesses, examines the evidence again and again, and slowly, a chilling theory begins to form in his mind. Could someone have been responsible for Ridge losing control of his vehicle? Could the accident have been orchestrated? But who would want Ridge dead? And why? His suspicions grow as he starts to connect the dots. Thomas begins to piece together a disturbing pattern, one that makes him consider the unthinkable. That someone close to him, someone in his own family, might be involved. His first instinct is to suspect Taylor. As painful as it is, he cannot ignore the possibility that his mother might have been the one to orchestrate Ridge's death. Taylor's recent emotional state, her resentment toward Ridge, and the fact that she had been in close proximity to the crash site all raise red flags in Thomas's mind. Could she have been the one to cause Ridge's death? The thought of it sickens him, but the more he delves into his investigation, the more evidence seems to point to her. The final piece of the puzzle falls into place when Thomas discovers something that leaves him in shock. He uncovers a piece of evidence that suggests Taylor was not only at the crash site, but that she had been the one to shine the flashlight that caused Ridge to lose control of his car. It's all there. The timing, the location, the strange light that had been reported by witnesses. Thomas's blood runs cold as he realizes the truth. His mother, the woman he had once believed would never harm anyone, may have been the one behind Ridge's death. The weight of this revelation is unbearable, and Thomas is left reeling. He feels betrayed, not only by his mother, but by the entire situation that has torn apart his family. Now, Thomas stands at a crossroads. He is faced with an agonizing decision. Should he expose Taylor for the crime he believes she committed, or should he protect her to preserve the family's reputation and fortune? The temptation to cover up the truth is strong. After all, with Ridge gone, Thomas stands to inherit a significant portion of the Forrester estate. His mind races as he contemplates the consequences of either choice. If he exposes Taylor, it could destroy the family, ruin their legacy, and leave him without the wealth and influence he's always craved. But if he keeps the secret, he will be complicit in the cover-up of a murder, a weight he isn't sure he can bear. The internal struggle eats away at him. On one hand, Thomas feels an overwhelming sense of loyalty to his father. Ridge may have been a complicated man, but he was still his father, and he deserves justice. On the other hand, Thomas cannot ignore the allure of the power and money that would come with keeping Taylor's involvement a secret. The Forrester fortune could be his, and if he chooses to stay silent, it would be his. But at what cost? As the days go by, Thomas grows increasingly paranoid. The guilt of knowing the truth eats away at him. He becomes more withdrawn, more distant, unsure of who to trust. The thought of confronting Taylor is terrifying, and he cannot bear the idea of facing her with the accusation that she killed Ridge. But at the same time, he is tormented by the need for justice. His father deserves to have the truth revealed, no matter the consequences. Finally, the moment of reckoning arrives. Thomas confronts Taylor, his heart heavy with grief and rage. He demands to know the truth. Did she cause Ridge's death? At first, Taylor denies it, claiming that she had nothing to do with the accident. But as Thomas presses her, the cracks begin to show. Taylor becomes defensive, her emotions running high. She insists that she loved Ridge, that she never would have hurt him. But the more she denies it, the more Thomas begins to see through her facade. The guilt in her eyes, the way she avoids his gaze, and the subtle hints in her voice all point to one horrifying truth: Taylor is hiding something. In a moment of desperation, Taylor finally breaks down and admits that she did, in fact, cause the accident. She confesses that she had been angry with Rich, bitter over his decision to end their relationship and pursue a future with Brooke. In her emotional turmoil, she made a decision that she now regrets deeply. Using the flashlight to momentarily blind Rich, she hoped to provoke him into making a mistake, to make him feel the pain she was experiencing. But it had gone terribly wrong. The flash of light had caused Ridge to lose control of his car, and the rest was history. He had died because of her. Thomas stands in stunned silence, processing the weight of what he's just heard. His mother, the woman he had always trusted, the woman who had raised him, had been responsible for his father's death. The betrayal cuts deeper than anything he could have imagined. He is crushed, torn between his love for his mother and his need for justice. Now, Thomas is faced with the most difficult choice of his life. Should he expose his mother's crime and bring her to justice, or should he protect her despite everything she has done? In the end, it's the memory of Ridge, his father, that pushes Thomas to make his decision. He cannot allow his father's death to go unpunished, no matter what the cost. With a heavy heart, Thomas makes the decision to go to the authorities and reveal the truth. The Forrester family will be torn apart, but Ridge's legacy will be honored. In the aftermath, Thomas must deal with the fallout from his decision. The Forrester family is in chaos and his own future is uncertain. But one thing is clear: Thomas will never be the same. The guilt, the pain, and the loss will haunt him for the rest of his life, but he knows he did the right thing. The truth has come out and justice has been served, but at a price that will change the Forrester family forever.